All right, so now we're going to look and see if 600 milliliters has been infused into the patient at 1500 hours, whether the IV is running ahead or behind schedule, and we're going to justify our answer too. All right, so if we look at 1600 milliliters that's been infused into the patient, that's the actual infusion. All right, and if you recall from up above, the other piece of information that we needed to know in order to see if the IV is running ahead or behind schedule is the scheduled infusion. And so we can go to what we did previously to help us figure that out. We'll know that there's 250 milliliters per hour that should be or scheduled to be infused into the patient. And at 1500 hours, that would be 2 hours past 1300. So I'll even make a note of that. Let's see, 1500 minus 1300 would be 200 or 2 hours. So this IV is run for 2 hours at that 250 milliliters per hour rate. So we could multiply those to figure out how many milliliters were scheduled to be infused into the patient. Note the units cancel when we multiply, and 250 times 2 I think is going to be 500 milliliters, and I'll note this is a scheduled infusion. So because the actual infusion is 600 milliliters and it's more than what the scheduled infusion of 500 milliliters, this IV is running ahead of schedule. So we'll write a sentence to justify what I just said. So we'll say, since the actual infusion, and I'll put the value, I guess that's 600 milliliters, is more than the scheduled infusion of 500 milliliters, we'll say the IV is running ahead of schedule. For the test, I'll put a little more information here. You'll not only want to justify your answer, it'll need to be a comparison of two different quantities. You want to list the quantities as well as the verbal description of what the quantities are. All right, so now we know the IV is running ahead of schedule.